All right, we got some weeds to get into this morning, y'all. In today's stream, we got to go over Lil Durk's paperwork, man. This motion to dismiss his charges of his superseding indictment. We also got the exhibits to go through as well. So we're gonna definitely pull up his paperwork and read through this. There's a lot going on there, and then we're gonna answer the question: do we feel like he's about to beat his case off of this? What else do we got? We got an interview from Punch from TDE talking about the Drake and the Kendrick beef, right? He's answering questions about the origin of the battle. You know, where does he believe that it started in the first place? We're gonna check that out. We also got some Big Meech news that I want to get into. He was recently allegedly exposed by an affiliate of Young Dolph, a rapper, and I want to speak on that topic briefly for sure. And do we need to get into Playboy Cardi's album? We probably will. We'll touch on that. Wallo, he's going through some controversy right now because he was doing kind of like a motivational speaker segment. And he said some things about supporting black business that the internet got on his heels about. I want to give my take and my opinion on that. Okay. And last but not least, of course, what else do we got? We got Kendrick. You see Kendrick in the thumbnail, right? We got Kendrick Lamar. He's got a new Gatorade commercial. I'm going to touch on that briefly too. Okay. So as we kick this stream off, I want to give y'all a quick reminder, people. It's Monday through Friday. We are here 6 a.m. That's when we are live. All right. And then shortly after the lives are complete, that's when I can get the chapters of the live into the comments for you. So you'll be able to look below and skip to whatever piece of the live or whatever topic interests you that you want to skip to. You might see it in the title. You might see some of these people in the thumbnail. Okay. Also, an update in the description below. You see, we've added a link to our Spotify. Okay. We are active over there now on Spotify. Please follow the podcast on Spotify. If you're a Spotify type of person, you like your audio while you're at work or while you're moving around. But yes, we are moving, we are growing, and we are expanding. Okay. Weekends, once again, Saturday and Sunday is not 6 a.m., but it will be the morning. Okay. I don't want to put an exact time on Saturdays and Sundays, but it will be the morning. Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. All right, let's get to working. All right, so you see this United States District Court, Central District of California in front of us. This is the United States once again versus Durk Banks. The defendant, Durk Banks, motion to dismiss superseding indictment based on false and or misleading grand jury evidence. That sounds kind of strong to me. Like what? Misleading and false evidence presented to the grand jury? Y'all know what the grand jury is, right? I guess my ghetto interpretation of to how to say what the grand jury is a collective of people that get together and say, should whatever the state presented as a case, should it go forward or not, right? If they say, yes, we believe that there's some stuff here that looks a little dirty and maybe some laws is getting broken, we believe that this should go forward. Then the indictment and all the charges come after that, okay? But if you try to present something that's false to the grand jury and then you bring charges after that, that is kind of like bad process. That's like how to negate the indictment. No? Yes? Okay. That's what his lawyers are doing here. All right, let's move down this. Defendant Durk Banks, through his counsel of record, moves the court to dismiss the superseding indictment against him in this matter. In the alternative, he moves to compel disclosure of the grand jury minutes and evidence the government presented to the grand jury. So even what they discussed, he wants all that. He wants it all gone. This motion is based on the attached memorandum of points and authorities, all files and records in this case, and such evidence and argument as may be presented at the hearing. The undersigned and the assigned assistant United States attorney in this matter had a meet and a confer regarding this matter via email correspondence on April 17th, 2025. That was 2 days ago, people. As required by the court's criminal standing order and the local rules reflected therein, the parties did not reach an agreement on the issue presented herein. Respectfully submitted. Okay. All right. So the table of contents, we're going to skip down to what's important to us. The introduction. The government presented false evidence to the grand jury that indicted Mr. Banks on November 7, 2024. The plain language of the superseding indictment makes it apparent that the government told the grand jury that Mr. Banks, through specific lyrics in his music, celebrated and profited from a revenge murder that he had ordered, namely that of SR in August of 2022. Now, SR, we assume, is the initials of Lil Pab, right? Quando Rondo's cousin that was killed in California, Beverly Hills, California. That claim is demonstrably, whatever, widely, hugely false. So quit it with the big words, people. The song the government relied upon as evidence against Mr. Banks, Wonderful Wayne, and Jackie Boy, a song that was recorded by another artist, Babyface Ray, and on which Mr. Banks recorded a feature for, could not have been a commercialization of Mr. Banks' alleged murder for hire of SR, as the government represented the grand jury. That is because Mr. Banks recorded the lyrics for Wonderful Wayne 7 months before the indictment even happened. The government's misinterpretation in the superseding indictment, whether knowing or reckless, undermines the integrity of the grand jury true bill against Mr. Banks. The court should dismiss the superseding indictment against him as a result. Now, there's what the state did there with the songs that's being called out that they're trying to use as, all right, this is where he's celebrating, Quando Rondo's death. And he got the one where he took the audio of Quando Rondo screaming no, allegedly, and they put that in the song. So that's what the state is using. And I hate to say stuff like this publicly, but it's stuff that we already know. It would be good for Lil Durk if the state or the United States doesn't come with a superseding indictment with other songs, because we all know that follow Lil Durk know that he's got a lot of references. So if that's the only song that they put in and presented to the grand jury, then sure, if I'm Lil Durk and I say that, well, that particular one was recorded, 8 months prior to the shooting or whatever, then hey, this is a great defense then. But if they go and they put like songs like Beverly Hills and some of the other tracks that's out there, is he going to be able to show when those were recorded? So it's tough. I'm not rooting against the man. I'm just speaking the stuff that's already out there as we read this paperwork and we interpret, to be fair and to be real with ourselves. Okay. But let's continue, because the man's only got to fight what's in front of him, and that would be good for him. Okay. The background, we know the background already, so we don't need that. Let's continue to skip down. The original indictment. Mr. Banks was not charged in the original indictment. Instead, that indictment charged 5 other individuals, Kayvon Grant, DeAndre Wilson, Keith Jones, David Lindsay, and Asa Houston, as principals in an alleged murder for hire scheme in violation of that code. At the core of the charges is the August 19, 2022 shooting death of SR. So Dirk wasn't charged for the shooting or for the murder of SR in the original indictment. We must have missed that, or I missed that. Okay. So what were they holding him based on? I don't feel like going. We probably answered that on previous streams. My memory is failing. According to the grand jury, SR was not the men's intended victim. TB was. That's Quando Rondo, y'all. TB was. The purported motive, a bounty placed on TB to answer for his involvement with the murder of another man, DB, Davon Bennett, aka King Von. So we know that. We know the background to this. All right, let's keep moving. The superseding indictment. The superseding indictment does charge Mr. Banks in the alleged murder for hire. It names him as an individual referred to as co-conspirator 1 in the original indictment. It calls him the head of OTF, as having directed the attempted murder of TB that resulted in SR's death, as the person who placed the alleged bounty on TB, and as the person who texted the instructions not to put no flights under no names involving me. So I think I might have just jarred my own memory there. When they initially arrested him, so they put out the indictment on the OTF members, right? They grabbed all those guys up. I think I do remember now that Dirk wasn't in that. But when they grabbed him at the airport and they were alleging that he was trying to flee, which he actually had a good rebuttal for that. Like, no, I was taking my pilgrimage and all that type of stuff. And it's not 4 different locations that I was trying to throw y'all off with. These are all connected flights and whatnot. So I think he had a good rebuttal for that. We did that stream. But I think that's the time when they also unsealed the indictment over his brother, which would be a separate alleged murder for hire, his brother D Thing. So it was like a criminal complaint, right? When they first grabbed him at the airport. And then the superseding indictment came later and said, oh, yeah, as far as those other OTF members that we picked up and we actually charged, the superseding indictment is now saying that we are including you as the leader of that situation. But we was able to pick you up from flying away based on we think he's a flight risk. We unsealed this D Thing murder, which is separate. And all this other like accusation, so to speak, right? Similar to what I believe they just did with Brick Baby, right? Um, they arrested him. He was out on bail, pretty much, right? Facing the charges of all the guns that they grabbed him with. And when they were ready to go grab all the rest of the rolling 60s, they were able to present an argument as for grabbing him too, saying that they believe that he's a danger to society. They believe that he's dangerous. They believe that he might be a flight risk, or he might try to, do the race, i.e. a TK. You know what I'm saying? So, all right. So that's the superseding indictment. Following the attempted murder of TB, the murder of SR, defendant Banks sought to commercialize SR's death by rapping about his revenge on TB with music that explicitly referenced audio from the news clip taken shortly after SR. So we know that. Told me they got the Addy, go, got location, go, green light, go, 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 go. Look on the news and see your son screaming, no, no, pussy. Like, we remember the lyrics, right? We knew the song before the murder, right? Or whatever, or before the indictment. Now here's where it gets a little bit more interesting. The underlying falsehood, the superseding indictment's allegations about the meaning of Banks' lyrics, that they described SR's killing and referenced media about it. Banks would need to have penned them after the August 19, 2022 shooting. Mr. Banks did not, however, write those lines after the shooting. He wrote them 7 months beforehand. And they're attaching the exhibits. We're going to get to the exhibits in a separate piece of the paperwork from the docket in a second, y'all. So we don't need to read the exhibits here. Here's the argument. The superseding indictment is not sustainable against Mr. Banks in the face of the fundamental factual error upon which the grand jury relied. Such an error requires dismissal of the indictment under the following circumstances. First, where the grand jury returned an indictment based on the government's knowing presentation of a falsehood. He just flat out saying they are doing dirt. You're saying, I know this is false. I wonder how you prove that, though. Hold on. Let me take a quick second there. I've seen that before. Legally. We're accusing you of doing this purposefully. What? That's a lie. And then if I prove it, where are we going from there? That's a lie. If the it is even true, right? So how do you prove that? That's not an easy one to me. But at the same time, you are alleging that the state flat out knew the evidence that they were giving to the grand jury was false. I don't think that's the easiest sell in the world. But if you have grounds to prove that, if the judge, then that 100% undermines the legal process. I would want a dismissal for that too. Whoever is presenting evidence to the grand jury to say, like, oh, by the way, these lyrics, I happen to know that he recorded this shit in February and the shooting was in August, but I don't give a fuck. Hey, grand jury, you see these lyrics right here? This is him bragging about and monetizing the shooting. If you did that to me, nah, I want my lawyers to get me out of here, man. That is dirt. That is dirt. For real. That's fucked up. That's wrong. Regardless of where we stand on whether you think he was really involved or not. But the process is the process, right? Okay. Knowing presentation. That's crazy. That is crazy. Or second now, where the falsehood, if unwittingly presented to the grand jury, is of such character that its later discovery demands redress. Okay. The court has the power to dismiss an indictment that the grand jury returned based on information that the government knew at the time to be or later learned to have been false. See, that now that's stronger than what we just read prior, because that covers both bases. The first one I said, that's not the easiest sell to prove. Like, I knew you purposefully presented false information to the grand jury. But the second one covers the base that to me is a little bit more preferential if I'm defending myself, which is saying you learned later on that it was false. Now that's a different story because we did read the paperwork months ago of the producer that handed in the screenshots of saying this is when we recorded the audio file and we were in the studio this date and it's time marked and all that from my Mac laptop or my engineering equipment. We went over that paperwork, right? So if I presented, proof and evidence that the song was recorded before the shooting, and then you still came with a superseding indictment after that, yeah, I have an issue. I have an issue. I have an issue if I give you some shit in discovery that says what you're accusing me for, here's the proof that you are 1,000% wrong, and then you still go, oh, no. I have a whole different problem with you now. I have a whole different problem. But let's say hypothetically, you accuse me incorrectly. That's cool. Let's shake hands and we'll walk separate directions. But if this is a personal gripe, like, nah, we want Durk because we believe all this other stuff too. That would be almost like saying we want Diddy because we saw the Cassie video. But the Cassie video isn't what he's being charged with, people. We got to be fair. This is ghetto lawyering we're doing around here because none of us passed the bar, but let's rationalize this because some of this we read in the past. Okay, I see what his lawyers are doing here. Mr. Banks does not take lightly the request that he is making of this court. Dismissal is in all cases a drastic step and thus generally disfavored. And then they gave a reference of a different case to reference that. That is especially so when a defendant challenges the nature of the evidence that the government presented to induce an indictment. Once again, that's what the grand jury is for. And then it gave another reference. However, court intervention is necessary in cases like this to ensure that a charging decision is the product of the grand jury's own unbiased and untainted judgment. Yeah. Poke holes in the system if you feel like there's things that's happening that's improper. Like Brian Steele is going to move for a whatchamacallit, not a dismissal, a mistrial. He's going to move for a mistrial a million times. Anytime he sees something that he feels is unjust or outside of the process, how many times during the YSL case, mistrial? Judge, I'm moving for a mistrial because word on the street is they got their hands on that evidence last week and they never presented it to me in time for like, you know what I'm saying? Mistrial. So dismissal and mistrials, just like this piece of paperwork is saying here, yes, we all believe that they're not the easiest things for a judge or a court or whoever to accept, right? But you got to present it, especially if you got strong findings and a strong case. You got to, and then on top of that, I'm fighting for my life. No, present that shit. Present that shit. And they're even showing it like, look, we know this ain't easy, and here's the references, but yo, you got to uphold the integrity of the legal process. The grand jury's independence and integrity are deeply rooted in our Constitution. It is an institution of constitutional dignity. The grand jury is in many ways an entity unto itself. The grand jury's functional independence from the judicial branch is evident both in the scope of its power to investigate criminal wrongdoing and in the manner in which that power is exercised. Unlike a court whose jurisdiction is predicated upon the specific case or controversy, the grand jury can investigate merely on suspicion that the law is being violated or even because it wants assurance that it is not. Good job from Durk's lawyers there. I love that write-up. I love that. Right when I read that, it just goes like it goes. All right. So continue talk about the grand jury. However, courts can and do step in when the grand jury's functions may be compromised, when proceedings are conducted in the manner that violates few clear rules which ensure the integrity of the grand jury functions. This reference. When an indictment is returned on evidence that a prosecutor knows at the time or discovers before trial to be false. Ugh. Good shit. The false information presented in the grand jury here compels the superseding indictment's dismissal. I got more for y'all in a second on that. The false information prejudiced Mr. Banks in the grand jury's proceedings. Yeah, anytime you got a prejudice in a legal process, that's a problem, right? Think about that. That's even you're supposed to even apply prejudices to your jury selection. This old lady, uh, born in the 50s or whatever, hates black people, and this is a case about a little black boy R-ing a white woman. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if she could be unbiased, take her off the case, right? Any prejudices or anything like that disrupt the legal process if it's to be upheld with integrity. The court should dismiss this indictment because the government presented false evidence. Okay, so we saw that. All right, so let me just pull up now the second piece of paperwork here, which is the actual exhibits. Okay. All right, exhibit. Declaration of Justin Gibson. So I believe Justin Gibson is the engineer that we pulled up the paperwork for originally that said, well, here's screenshots and here's evidence and here's proof of the audio recordings that we did in the studio to show when this song that you guys are saying is him, you know, telling on himself. It's to show it was recorded prior. I believe that's who this person is. All right, I Justin Gibson declare as follows. One, I am a producer and sound engineer and have been working with Mr. Banks since 2021 in a professional capacity. I make this declaration in support of Mr. Banks. I have personal knowledge of the matters set forth in the declaration and am willing and available to testify regarding the below at an evidentiary hearing set by this court. So homie's riding for dirt. He's definitely riding for dirt. He's definitely willing to take the stand. He's definitely willing to put himself on the line because when you do this type of stuff, you have to do it under oath as well. So if he gets found to perjury or lying or any of that type of stuff, he could be exposed to jail time and sentencing and all types of stuff. So whoever this person is, I'm pretty sure he's beloved by Durk's camp. I am known professionally as Just Vibes. Okay, that's his name or his industry name. I have been working with Mr. Banks since 2021. I feel like some of this was in the shit that we read months ago. Yeah, on January 25th, 2022, I had recording sessions with Mr. Banks where we recorded the song Wonderful, Wayne and Jackie Boy, which at the time was called Too Toxic. I loaded the song up around 5:39 p.m. Mr. Banks then wrote the verse right there in the studio and we recorded the song and finished in less than an hour. Yeah, I remember this is all similar write-up that they had in that previous one. Once we recorded the song, I bounced out. A rough draft saved the copy in audio format and named it Toxic, Babyface featuring Lil Durk at 6:33 p.m. These times they seem like to be like not squared or rounded off because I believe those same times were on the timestamps of the screenshots that he provided prior. So 6:33 instead of just saying 6:35 or 6:30. That's the reason why. After that, we continue with the rest of the session. Attached to this affidavit are screenshots of timestamps on the original project file, the audio file I received, and the saved version of the file. So screenshots. Is that also coming over on a USB to show the actual audio file so they can hear the same thing? Either way, though, I declare under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States that a foregoing is true and correct. And he signed it, Justin Gibson. Exhibit 2, the declaration of Ahmad Sharif. Oh, what's this? I, Ahmad Sharif, do hereby declare, certify, and verify under penalty of perjury the following. My name is Ahmad Sharif. I'm 24 years old. My date of birth, yada, yada, yada. I am the founder and CEO of of Your World Music Incorporated, based primarily out of Detroit, Michigan. I have personal knowledge of the facts stated herein, and if called upon, could but who is this person? I have worked with music producer and audio engineer for artists, including Babyface. Okay, my work with Babyface and Ray includes this is from the Babyface side, but is not limited to producing songs for Babyface's Ray's album and Mob and serving as a sound engineer for the song. So this person seems like he's confirming from the feature of Babyface side that yes, this was recorded at this previous date. I received Lil Durk's verse and lyrics for Wonderful Wayne and Jackie Boy from Justin Gibson, PKA Just Vibes, on July 22nd, 2022. After July 22nd, 2022, I received no other additional lyrics or modifications to the original lyrics from Durk or anyone in Durk's camp. Thereafter, I incorporated Durk's verse into the track and finalized the track on my end on August 23rd, 2022. I have reviewed certain YouTube links concerning the song Wonderful and Wayne at Jackie Boy. As a producer and audio engineer who worked on the Wonderful and Wayne and Jackie Boy, I can confirm that the audio and the video clips featuring the audio of an individual yelling no, which would have been Quando Rondo, reportedly from a news clip, are not from the original recordings as referenced in paragraph 8. What are you saying? Are you saying that somebody added Quando Rondo's voice to the song that you guys uploaded? Yep. Number 11. These clips appear to be fan edits specifically for social media platforms such as TikTok and are altered, fabricated, and inauthentic versions of the original song. Damn. See, the reason why I say damn y'all right there, fuck. Because I feel like this was going so well, but then they just brought me into some gray area. Fuck. The reason why I felt like it was going so well and now you drag me into some gray areas because I mean, I'm not gonna do it right now live, but if we go look up those songs on YouTube or like the one with the biggest views or the source, obviously it shouldn't be on a channel that is owned by or has accessible to anybody in either camp, right? And even if it was, it's probably taken down by now, but but and technically you're not supposed to be able to take stuff down. Like indictment comes, if you touch stuff, then they go after you for that because it's like you're trying to hide evidence. But anyway, um, all right, all right. Uh, I hope that if you're gonna say that, you gotta show that the government can't have their hands on any of those links with Quando Rondo's voice added to the song. You can't have any video links on YouTube or on social media that are tied to anybody from this record label that is behind Babyface or anybody that's assigned to OTF or the label. You can't because then that would be a brick wall for the government, right? And then especially if you come with the dated audio file of like, look, this is the original audio file, not just a screenshot. Here's the audio file, and you don't hear no screaming no in the background, right? I like this approach better than them purely trying to tell me, like, which I then feel like, yo, you're trying to make me like out to be an idiot. Purely trying to tell me, oh, we added the screaming no in the song, but it had nothing to do with Quando Rondo because we recorded it prior. Because then you could just do like audio analysis and compare like the screaming no from the news video of Quando Rondo when his cousin got killed to the song matches, and then you just be like, that coincidence, we're not letting you get by with that. You're not gonna tell me that you recorded this prior and then the voices match, the no match, or everything matches, and you just happen to coincidentally have an audio bite in your song that was screaming no before Quando got his cousin got killed. No, now I believe that the screenshots are fake, the timestamps are fake. Now I believe all of that, right? So you kind of gotta say, like, oh no, the no in the song, that's real, but that's not us. You kind of gotta do that, right? You have to, or else you're gonna ask the jury to be kind of stupid at that point. All right, all right. I felt like we took a small step backwards, though. I ain't gonna lie. The original authentic version of the song does not contain these manipulated elements. Creating altered audio edits is easy to do through social media. Yeah, we know. I declare under penalty of perjury, and you're gonna sign your name as well. Cool, get it. All right. So here's one more thing that I want to show y'all before we wrap up this little Durk piece. Indeed, people, I Googled if a superseding indictment is dismissed, does the original indictment get dismissed also? It says generally, if a superseding indictment is dismissed, the original indictment is also dismissed. A superseding indictment replaces the original indictment. Therefore, the original indictment is no longer valid if the superseding indictment is dismissed. let me just finish this last sentence just in case. However, there may be exceptions where the trial court can reinstate the original indictment under specific circumstances. So I feel like the same way, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but the same way getting something brought into the category of mistrial or getting a case dismissed, the same way that's probably on the more far-fetched side. I think it's also on the far-fetched side, as per at least what we read there, to say, all right, we're going to get the superseding indictment dismissed, but now we got this rare occasion where we're going to be able to fall back on the original. The superseding is supposed to replace the original, right? It's supposed to give, if for lack of anything, more context, more evidence, more victims, like in Diddy's joint. They added the victim number 4. So, if you want me to answer the question, is Lil Durk about to beat his case from dismissal? Give this presentation by the lawyer here and the people that are willing or under perjury already testifying for him, all right? The 2 witnesses, both I believe are engineers. Given some of the evidence of the audio files and the timestamps and I don't know if there's audio files. We keep just seeing screenshots only, right? I think it's a good presentation, but like we read, the lawyers themselves from the defense side are saying, we understand that this is not an easy thing for the court to accept, but right. I got to give it, 20 to me is too strong. And maybe let's give it 17%. Let's give it 17%. Want to know why? Because there's still a lot of other stuff that I feel like whoever is going to make that type of decision is going to think about and consider. For example, the text message that was called out. Don't put my names on no flights. Okay, you're telling me that you were taking a business trip, but just so happens to be the day after the OTF members got rounded up. I don't like that either. Looks a little funny. I can't ignore that. Okay. How about your lyrics? All the lyrics that's out there. How about your interviews with people like DJ Academic saying, you don't hear that no more, do you? About the Slav Vaughn? I don't know. We different in Iraq. But anyway, we played video footage of them talking about or doing subs allegedly towards the killing of FBG Cash. How about the unsealed indictment about the murder over, his brother D thing, which is totally separate, right? You got a lot of stuff. It's they were in town that same weekend of the shooting. Durk and one of the shooters, I think they already confirmed this via the flight manifest, that they took his private jet to Cali, the day before, a couple days before, and then the day after the murder, they all flew back into different airports. It's like, once again, you're asking me to play dumb. You know what I'm saying? As if all of this other stuff, these text messages, these songs, these flights, you happen to be there, everything. You just want me to build it all as coincidence and only focus on the no that was in the audio was added by a fan on the internet. It's not easy for me to do. But the reason why I'm still going to go with a strong 18%, 18% is a big number, all right? The reason why I'm still going to go with a strong 18% is because what we're looking at is them saying you went to the grand jury with false information, and we have proof that it's false. Hence, that taints the process of the grand jury, and that is grounds for dismissal. I'm going 18%. If y'all got it more than that, y'all let me know in the chat. Y'all let me know in the comments, okay? All right, that was our main topic. Let me move to, what are we going to do second? Let's do Wallo. He underwent a lot of criticism on the internet for this video right here. If you haven't seen it, I'll play it for you.
Us. Oh, I'm black. No black people. Nobody gives a fuck about that. Kill that shit. Ow. Either you got a good business or you don't. All that shit, don't nobody want to hear that shit. That's a hustle. Support me because I got a black business. Is your restaurant clean? Is the food good? Do you got consistent cooks? Is the material on your shit good? Stop doing that. Oh, you support the white people? No, I support consistency, baby. Yeah. Well, fuck about what color you is. I'm gonna spend my money. That paper, I'm gonna spend them deals where the fuck I want to spend it at. grab his Porsche, Ferrari, Lambo. I'm going to do what the fuck I want to do while I'm here. But I'm going to tell you one thing, I ain't going to be finessed off some black shit. But one thing about it, 70% of you motherfuckers is not going to make it. I'm not no motherfucking fake-ass motivational speaker that talk this dumb shit. I'm the number one nigga in the country. You know why? Y'all seen me come out of the penitentiary. I make millions, and I make millionaires, baby. You understand me? I come from the ghetto. Us. Oh, I'm black. Oh, black people.
All right. My position on this. I'm gonna get into the is he right and is he wrong? Right. I'm gonna get into that. Let's start at a higher level. All right. I don't need to rush this one per se. I don't want to spend 30 minutes on it. I can, but let me not rush this one. He's damn sure right when he says 70% of y'all ain't gonna make it. Like, if he's doing a motivational speaking engagement and he's standing in front of a room full of entrepreneurs, right? It's true. You know, I have failed entrepreneurialism businesses that went under, me myself. You know what I'm saying? I could testify to that. Then I had success stories like, let's say, Rare Breed Entertainment, 10 years, you know, 10 years plus, right? Still have accolades and earn money from Rare Breed Entertainment. You know, it's a blessing. But it's true, man. Not everybody makes it. For every battle rapper that starts coming on the scene, how many of them are going to become successful and make big money? For every league that comes on the scene, how many of them are going to be the next RBE or King of the Dot or URL or, you know what I'm saying? Like if you open up a food restaurant, are you going to become the next, you know, hotspot, Wingstop or something like that? It's not easy. It's not easy. This is why even the government tries to give you breaks, startup breaks, tax breaks. They try to support entrepreneurs to get out here and generate more tax dollars for them. But it's not easy. So I love the fact that Wallo is a guy that's willing to get up there and not take this motivational speaker engagement and give you the bullshit. I love the fact that he's going to talk to your soul and say, you, one of you motherfuckers ain't doing it right, and you're going to fail because of that. I like that. And now let me move to this real quick. I fuck with Wallo heavy. I have a lot of respect for Wallo. I like him as a man. I like his character. Okay. I like his principles. I like what he's shown us ever since he's come to being a public figure. I don't got nothing bad to say about Wallo. Hell, the other day or like last week, we just watched him talking somebody off of a bridge, right? That was trying to commit that, right? Think about how many of us won't even pull over to check on our fellow man or woman if we see somebody in a car wreck, right? Like, this guy's a millionaire. You know, every time I turn around, he's pulling up to Gilly's crib on Instagram with a new car, right? Like, look what I got, cuz. I love it. I love the success story, especially given what he's come from. And he stopped out of his own life to talk somebody out of suicide. I fuck with this man. I really, 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 really do. So, regardless of my opinion on this video right here, the Wallos of the world ought to be protected. 1000%. Okay. Now, do I believe in what he's saying here? Do I agree or disagree with what he's saying here? It's both. I agree and disagree. First of all, I have my own experiences why I can agree. I'll give you like a black business example first, right? I'm West Indian, so I could say this shit. It's like me being black, so I could say the word nigga. I could say with the A or the ER, I'm black. You know what I'm saying? But I'm West Indian, so I could even go at my fellow West Indians. When's the last fucking time I went to the Jamaican restaurant and they had everything that was on the menu? When's the last time they had 50% of what was on the menu? I never Grubhub West Indian food because I know they're not going to have my shit. But I'm not pulling up to Chick-fil-A and they're going to tell me, my bad, we don't got chicken. We don't got the French fries that you've been yearning for all day. I might pull up to fucking McDonald's, and I don't eat McDonald's, but I might pull up to McDonald's and the fucking ice cream machine is down or there's no milkshakes or nothing. But that's okay. Their business is more so on burgers and fries. But it'd be the main shit that the West Indian restaurant don't have. Try to support the black business is shit. Y'all don't got it. But all right. That's a funny, like, little small example, but we earn, and I say we as a West Indian, we earn that stereotype. They never have our shit. Never, 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 never. Now let me use a more serious one. Let me use battle rap. Some of these league owners that get on these cameras and tell you to support black business. Their actions don't deserve it. Their behavior doesn't deserve it. Raise your hand if you've seen in battle rap black businesses attempt to kill other black businesses. Clip this piece. Raise your hand. Chat. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe that you have seen black businesses in battle rap try to kill other black businesses. Put a 1 in the chat if you've seen that. Just an observation that you may or may not have had. I'm just curious. I'm going to pull you up on the screen too, just to document this. Okay, I don't need no who's or what's or why's or when's. Tay Smith would have won. Kelson would have won. DMV Doll would have won. Ezra would have won. Misha would have won. Mr. Relly Rel would have won. Ryan would have won. He took it a step further. He spelt that shit. You put in both ones. I rock with you. Okay. DJ would have won. Okay. So that's the part I fuck with Wallo about. Because there is a ploy for these selfish, lying, conniving in front of the consuming base people that will pull that. That'll pull the whole, I'm a black business, support me, right? You don't really deserve it. Now, if you got something for sale or a service that people consume, they're going to come to you regardless. But all this waving the black flag and you don't necessarily move like that, whether it's behind the scenes or even publicly, that makes you fraud. That means that you are trying to hustle the whole cliche of support black business. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people that just want a particular vote, a particular sale, a particular support, simply because we're aligned. Okay, you and I are aligned because we're both black, so fuck with me. You and I are aligned because we're both white, so fuck with me. You and I are aligned because we're both Asian, so fuck with me. But just because you're black or I'm Asian and you're Asian or I'm white and you're white, don't mean that your shit is for me. Don't mean that your shit is valid. Don't mean that your shit deserves my dollar. It doesn't. And I do fuck with Wallo, not just from the reality standpoint of it, of what we see people trying to hustle the whole, we're in this together, so spend the money with me. Not only do I fuck with that, but the truth of the matter is he's right. When I'm going to spend my money, my hard-earned money, I want what I expect. I don't want my order to come half full because, oh, you didn't have the shit that you got on your menu on. I don't want that. So then when I retract my business, you understand why. And I love my people and I support my people. Fuck, I was on stream yesterday at the end of my stream supporting other black business, right? You see me pulling up their merchandise and saying, hey, put this, clip this, put it on your gram and all that. It's all good. I support definitely who supports me. I definitely support black business, but I don't mean I'm going to give you free money. Free money meaning that, nah, I'm used to, or I want my sneakers to not fall apart. If Nike is doing that for me, that's where I'm going to spend my money and not going to make me feel guilty about it. If your sneakers, you went and got some little deal or whatever because you're just trying to start up and we know each other, yeah, I'm going to support you. But if they fall apart or if they don't, I can't run around in them, or if the soles rub off within a couple weeks or that, whatever, that's my last pair that I'm buying from you. That's my last pair. Now, the side that I definitely disagree with Wallo on is when we don't invest in good people, good business, and good quality because we are caught up in marketing. That's the part that I disagree with Wallo. Okay. What's an example of that? Shout out to my guy Goods. Goods got a brand, right? Let's say hypothetically his t-shirts, his shirts, his jeans, the quality wise, the patterns, the longevity, the prices, the style, everything about his Slick Walk brand is pristine. Yet, because it's not that popular, as much as I say, yo, that's my homie right there, he can't sell me shit. Instead, I gotta go to Gucci because that's what y'all are gonna identify when I walk through the club. Then that's an argument. That's an argument because the same way y'all want to shut down Gucci and Louis and these people, you got to remember this too, folks. Harsh reality. Sorry, it's true. Some of these businesses don't really fuck with us. Y'all remember Tommy Hilfiger? You know how much money we put in the hands of Tommy Hilfiger? When I'm saying we, I'm saying black people. You know how much money we put in the hands of Tommy Hilfiger? Right? Wasn't Timberland another one? We still buy Timberland. Wasn't Timberland one that came out? They had a problem with black people, right? Wasn't there like H&M? Didn't they get tore up at one point because they had like a sweater or something? Allegedly, that was like a little racist or something, right? And then people like tearing up H&Ms for a hot second. We went back and started buying it again. I think Gucci had one too. During the who was battling? Calico versus who on my stage? Was it Calico versus Big K? Yeah, the Calico versus Big K battle. Big K's got one of his homies standing behind him, and he's wearing a Gucci headband. Remember when Calico went at him? You saying what? You got a Gucci headband on? You was a fucking like he's cooning or something. So they got it Soldier Boy for. Why you wearing it? During that time, Gucci was under fire. So you got Gucci being under fire at one time from black community. I believe it was H&M, Timberland, Tommy Hilfiger, and I'm pretty sure some of these other French and Paris lines or whatever aren't necessarily they wasn't set out to cater to black people. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you could make me believe that the owners and the CEOs of Louis Vuitton, you know what I'm saying, have just as many black people in those fucking corporate seats at their table as they, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't know about that. I don't know about that. All right. So yeah, we are conditioned to what's popular and what's marketed and to spend our dollars there. And Wallo even damn said, he said, shit, I'm gonna spend my millions the way I want, whether it's Porsche, whether it's Ferrari, all this Italian shit and whatnot. Italian designers, Italian brands, foreign Euro cars and whatnot. You know? So yes, I think at times we need to remind ourselves of a balance. If this black company over here has quality, if they actually are not pieces of shit and they don't contradict themselves as far as black business support, if they deserve our support and the dollar that we spend with them gives us back what we interpret to be buying, then yeah, we need to spend more money there as well, right? Because nobody wants to feel like they're doing it. If you feel like you're doing a favor, you won't do it consistently. If I feel like I walked into your store to buy a shirt simply because it's just all about support, you're not going to get my dollar consistently. That's just the nature of the beast. You will get my dollar consistently if I actually like the product. Okay? It doesn't matter who owns it. If I actually like the product. So I understand the backlash that Wallo is getting. He's making some great points, and it opens up thought for people that don't just jump out the window and say, oh, he kind of said don't support black business. Think deeper, okay? He's got a lot of justifications to what he says, but there's also things that I disagree in there for the simple fact that we have to remind ourselves to check ourselves as far as where we stand and what we do and how we spend our money. So I'm always going to call it down the middle. All right, let me move to a Punch from TDE. He's got an interview. And he's addressing things like Kendrick and the Drake beef. Now, first and foremost, let me give a shout out to who did this one. Oh, this is Curtis King. Shout out to Curtis King with the interview. I'm gonna play just this brief one, where from his perspective, where he thinks the beef started. And I'm scrolling this for y'all so y'all can go back to this interview later on and check out the rest if you want. It's over 3 hours. He's got chapters like his reaction to all the diss tracks where he thinks some areas that Drake went wrong. We're not going to play all that. But you can see from this chapter list, there's a lot that they discussed. So definitely come support this interview, support this channel. But this one to me was interesting.
Where the hell does this start? Is it the control verse that this whole Kendrick versus Drake situation? Do you know where that starts, or can you even speak on where that may start?
I can give you my perspective.
Okay.
And yeah, to my perspective, that's where it started.
Yeah.
Dot did the whole thing and the competition thing.
Right.
Not a I hate you thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? We rapping. I'm trying to be better than everybody. You should be too.
Right.
So a lot of people took it personal.
Why do you think that was missed, especially when we know this is a highly competitive environment?
Oh, it was all the light skinned niggas.
That's why I want to be traded from this team. I told y'all, trade me. My mama named me D''WAN.
Bro, no, I'm joking, but I'm kind of serious at the same time.
No, you're not joking. I'm with you. I agree.
Pusha T was mentioned, right?
Right.
Pusha T tweeted Dot and said, "I hear you loud and clear, Kendrick Lamar."
What's the confusion?
Meek Mill seen Dot in the club.
Yeah.
Walked up and shook his hand. Said, "I got to get you back." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my guy Cole seen Dot. They ended up escalating to the fight with him and Puff.
Oh no.
You know what I'm saying? Then with Drake, he doing interviews like he really upset about it.
He was very upset. That Elliot Wilson was telling.
Right. And like that kind of threw everybody for a loop. It's like, huh?
The same one he did with I think it was Angie as well, right? You and Kendrick, probably. I don't know why do it if it's not real. I seen you like a week later. You shook my hand. So what? Because he did his Tugger Sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes, that BT shit, whatever. Like, all right, let's go.
What we doing?
Especially
Control was even worse.
Again, I keep pointing back to the roots of things, and that you were in a room. Like even Ali talked about it. He's like, he knows how much of a blessing it was to be in an environment where it was highly competitive with not just 4 artists.
Yeah.
Anybody who at any given point in time could be somebody's main artist.
Yep.
And it's going to be competitive, especially when he's got that going.
Thing, though, like what we didn't take into consideration is everybody didn't come up that way. So
no, drop the mic right there. Everybody didn't come up that way is a shot. Let's be real, people. As many times as we look back on before we get to Not Like That, just go back to Control. Because obviously one thing about Punch that he's saying here that's I'm gonna say it's incorrect as far as where it started. It definitely didn't start with the Control verse. Maybe that heightened it, but there's literally documentaries out. I think we might have played some of them of how far and back the back and forth between Drake and Kendrick goes, man. They were jousting for that top spot for a minute, and they've taken so many shots at each other. There was multiple times where Drake was trying to olive branch Kendrick. There was times where Kendrick did interviews and it looked like he was denouncing their issues or their competition. And other times it looks like that was negated because they were getting back on bullshit with each other. This was all before the Control verse, all before. But the thing is, the Kendricks, the Drakes, the Jay-Z, some of these guys are masters at subliminals, right? And many times over their careers, they're talking to their opponent in a way where we don't know, but those two people know. Jay-Z was a master of it, and I feel like Drake picked up that torch and ran with it. He really, really did. So when I saw, like, even at the BET cypher, the Tucker Sensitive rapper back in his pajama clothes, I didn't run with that. You know, I felt like it could be intended, but I didn't run with it. The thing is, what happens behind the scenes is behind the scenes. The public is what really ignites it. We put the gas on these little flames, okay? We're the public. We blow it out the water. The Control verse, if people are going to look and say that was the beginning of the beef, instead of saying that it was the beginning, I would say that was the biggest flame. That was the biggest toss of lighter fluid. Why? Because we saw the fallout of Drake and how sensitive he was behind that. All the interviews he spoke about that verse. He's like, yo, if it's not real, then why would you do that? Okay, tell me a line. Do you remember a line from it? Is people going to be singing that verse a year from now? Or he was just going in about the Control shit. Everybody else was like, this is either competition or they were responding. People were doing their own verses. People that wasn't even called out in the song. What we're doing verses. I think Pat Poose, for example, like these people were just responding to it, especially because Kendrick was talking that New York shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm the king of New York shit. But he clearly even said it. It's just like, but this is hip hop, so you niggas should know what time it is. And that goes with Wallo, Drake, and then I got love for you niggas, but I'm trying to murder you niggas. Never heard of you niggas. Like, it was competition. And that's what made that moment so dope. That's what we love. We love when we can sit back and say, oh shit, finally we get to see Jay-Z and Nas fight. Finally, we get to see who's better from a battle perspective. Oh shit, it's up. Like Kendrick just dropped that verse or not, like, yes, Kendrick and Drake, finally it's real. No sub, it's there now. Let's go. It's hip hop. That's what we. So when he did that control verse, we was all waiting for the responses because we was just like, we're going to get content, we're going to get songs, we're going to get lyrics, we're going to see who's going to best. Maybe somebody could have came out with a control verse, used the same beat, and wild on Kendrick. You know what I'm saying? So he created that hip hop competitive moment, and even though he did the King of New York and all that type of shit, nobody stepped on him. He was able to still sit at the top of that moment. And I think Drake had a problem with that. That's why he was saying things like, a year from now, who's going to sing that song? Like, is it real? Was it meant to be a fucking death blow? Was it meant to be some minor allegations? It was meant to be competitive, like he fucking said. So I think hearing people that's close to Kendrick with this type of take further compounds how much that control verse did with the energy. Because just imagine if we're seeing it and we're watching the interviews and we're interpreting it, just imagine what Kendrick, the type of things he's seeing and reading behind the scenes after his control verse as well. Like, the people that's in the fire, they always know more than us, you know. And TDE and of course Punch is right next to Kendrick as well. So him believing that the control was the beginning of it, I would say maybe that was the biggest beginning, but it was definitely going on before then, if you know what I'm saying. Why y'all put Punch in that paperwork, by the way? I'll leave that alone. All right, what do we got here? Speaking of Kendrick, decent transition. Yeah, why don't y'all listen to me? Y'all don't believe my opinion sometimes. It's just an opinion. It's not a fact. So I get it. But why don't y'all believe my opinions? Gatorade just got a dose of Kendrick Lamar as he narrates and appears in their latest ad. Okay. Gatorade commercial. No big deal, right? All right.
Super Bowl 59.
How much are you willing to lose?
Listen.
Take the 65 gig. Losing steam, losing players, losing sweat. The solution?
A drink that hydrates better than water.
So they can work more.
I don't know why I'm laughing. I've said it already, people. Kendrick wants Drake in jail. Of all the songs, he starts it with the give a helping hand. We're not theory anymore, people. It's one thing for us to have a continued conspiracy theory. But the moment that man performed Peekaboo in the X at the Super Bowl, and then the aerial view of the X had 3 X's, it's over. It's not a conspiracy. Nobody's reaching with the Peekaboo thing. The give a helping hand at the beginning of the song is for a reason. It's not a reach. It's 1000% true. He is not doubling and tripling, quadrupling. He's 10 timesing down. I want to make people question Drake's involvement with XXX. That's his biggest problem to me because it involves Drake's freedom. This stuff with UMG and whatnot, money, and Drake will be fine. Win or lose, he'll be fine. This would involve the man's freedom. Even the guy that tried to appeal came out and said Drake's name. The guy that one of the convicted shooters, right? Now, he could have just been reaching for straws because he's trying to get out, but there was that whole breakdown of Drake and his lawyer doing what they were supposed to do, which is keeping Drake off that stand and keeping him from having to come in and speak within that case, right? This is all already out there, right? So maybe I'll just say allegedly, but it's already out there, right? Why would he partner and narrate? What was the first words that he said too? Now I'll do a little bit of conspiracy. Hold on. Let's do a little bit of conspiracy. What was the first words he said?
59.
How much are you willing to lose?
That's conspiracy for you. How much are you willing to lose? As then the peekaboo intro fades in. Give or help it. He wants Drake in jail. Am I the only person on the internet saying that? He wants Drake in jail. I'm telling y'all. I'm gonna leave that alone. Let's move on. All right. Did y'all see this one? Shout out to Checks and Balances. Y'all definitely tossed this in there this morning, and I was able to catch this and say, oh, wow, like I have some thoughts about this. Memphis rapper and Young Dolph's affiliate CEO Jizzle goes and leaks alleged messages between him and Detroit native Big Meech. All right, so they got some conversation going on. He leaked some messages. Let's see what the message is about. This shit goes. So this is Big Meech, allegedly. This shit go. He's obviously talking to him about a song. This shit go. You spitting real shit. You got it, my brother. Let's get some work in. And then the artist replies back, let's do it. Meech likes that, allegedly, and then says, check this out, fam. What I'm thinking, how can we get this song and you more out there? Look, I can do a video of me listening to the song, make it look natural. You can have blogs say I co-signed you. Or we can do an intro where I'm talking shit on one of your unreleased songs. That'd be some bullshit no one would expect. Or we can do both. But either way, if you tap in with me and we lock in, that's a cosign by me, 100. Then the next alleged text message says, he says, yeah, and Meech likes it. Then Meech allegedly says, let's go. Send budget, mob. I ain't tripping too much about no money. What can you do now? Let's lock it in. You want to do the video, the intro, or both? And then he allegedly replies back, get your washed up police ass out of my DMP. You finna piss me off. Oh my God. Oh man. Let's allegedly. If that DM is real, okay. It's almost like how Little Meech was exposing himself, whether he knew it or not. Exposing himself simply by the moment of, here goes a 50 Cent out here saying, I'm pulling the rug, I'm pulling the plug on everything. Y'all are dead. And then him putting out text messages of Little Meech saying, man, we don't fuck with Rick Ross. We just trying to get some money from him until the next show or the next season. Right. So you're showing financial, issues there. And then after that, like a week or a few days after that, Little Meech is on his Instagram selling ads. Nothing wrong with selling ads. I'm just saying, if you within the same time frame, you jumping on the gram saying, yo, y'all hit me up, DM me if you want some promo spots on my Instagram and all that. It's like with Meek. Meek is going through a certain moment in his career after like an album drop, or it might have been the joint with Rick Ross and didn't sell well. And then you get on Instagram and say, yo, I got this caddy Escalade for sale. Now, he might have millions of dollars still in his savings account. He might have millions of those Escalades, but you got to read the room. The timing of that looks crazy. How are people going to interpret that? They're going to interpret it like, oh, now you're liquidating. Okay. But then back to here with Big Meech, you're trying to sell this guy something. You're trying to sell him promo. And then we also saw a joint that we played the other day where Big Meech is sitting in, he's bopping his head to that show, that Paperwork song, right? So now it makes us look at everything that you bop your head to on your Instagram as if it's just paid promo, it's you selling service to somebody. Hey, if I do this Instagram post for you, it's going to look like a cosign. So tap in with me. And the person goes, okay, let's do it. And then you say, okay, let's talk budget. And he's like, budget? I thought you hit me up because you just fuck with me. Trying to get a couple dollars from me now so you could do a video of you playing my song. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? It looks, what's the best word to put? Cheap. It looks cheap. But for me, the reality is, don't be shocked if this all paints a correct picture of where y'all are financially, because a name does not constitute what somebody has in the bank. I don't care how famous you are. I don't care how popular you are. How many times do we got to see Frank Lucas coming home and doing interviews saying, yo, let me hold something? when he went in, he was crushing, right? Millions and millions and millions of dollars flowing. Okay. Like the Big Meeches of the world are not coming home, hopefully, to an illegal empire. They got eyes on them. They're on probation. They might got fucking ankle monitors and all this type of shit. You don't just come home and just jump back in what was making you millions of dollars before. That game is already fucked up way more than it was when you was out. The internet and social media and the way law enforcement is, and it's different anyway. So you might as well leave that shit alone. You're gonna have your ass right back. But we saw the concert get canceled. You know, Tony Yayo's on Vlad saying that when Lil Baby pulled off, Lil Meech was complaining that, damn, Lil Baby pulled up on us to show love, but he ain't drop us a bag. Like, how many pieces of the puzzle do we have to see before we say, y'all got to figure this out, right? And the foulest part of it, once again, is when you get exposed like this, allegedly. Now, when we do see you popping up with these Instagram posts and you're smiling, or you're bopping to music, or you're looking over the balcony at the water, you know, you make us interpret and say, okay, what rental are you in? Or whose house is that? Or don't smile when the camera's cutting off, because we know when the camera's off, you're hurting. Or when we see you bopping your head and co-signing music, we can't assume that you really like the music. We got to assume that you might have just sold that ad to somebody for a couple $100. You know what I'm saying? If I was Big Meech, I wouldn't even be in that DM. If I was on that, and if I needed ad money like that, I would have somebody else doing that. Hey, man, let me I can get Big Meech. I can get the big homie to do this for you. Boom, 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 boom. I wouldn't have no screenshots going around of me, Big Meech, this big name, looking like I'm trying to sell an up-and-coming rapper some ad placements. It doesn't look good. If 50 Cent hasn't already, he's going to run with shit like that. Let me just go to his Instagram real quick, because I didn't see this on 50's joint. But this is the type of shit that he runs with. Let me search. Let me go at 50 Cent. Did he put this shit up? Because you know he would. I don't see it on his shit yet. Oh, I see. He's on Floyd Mayweather's heels right now. Okay. That's one of his recent posts about the whole Floyd Mayweather going broke thing. All right. I had a piece for Cardi, but I'm gonna leave it alone. The piece I was gonna bring up for Cardi was just feedback of people talking about how much they don't really rock with his album outside of his features. And I was listening to the person explaining, I was kind of like, I got through like 30%, because there's a lot of songs. I got like 30% of the album and I cut it off. Me personally. Maybe I'm missing out on some stuff, but I cut it off. I'm not, I can't really get with Cardi too much. I just can't. I just can't. I just can't. Like, I'm not saying that I gotta be this guy that has a lyrical warfare in all my songs, but if you ain't saying nothing you just sound like garble, it's just like, okay, there's a time for it. I'm in the gym, I'm in a club, but yeah, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. So I'll leave it like that. All right. We made it over an hour. Hope we touched on all those topics in a beneficial way. Happy Saturday. Remember, people, we now have the Spotify link in our description below. So if you're a Spotify guy or lady, make sure you go follow the page. Click the Spotify link. With our podcasts are going over there now. Shout out to Quarter Lab, uploading over there for us. And remember, people, Monday through Friday, yes, 6 a.m. Eastern. When it comes to Saturday and Sunday, I don't got a time on it. It's just morning, okay? So it could be 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., but we are here in the mornings, Saturday and Sunday, but not a set time. Monday and Friday through Friday has a set time, 6 a.m. Eastern, okay? So I do appreciate everybody that's starting to come in and start their mornings over here with us. We 7 days a week with this. We've been months like that, 7 days a week, man. And y'all being here and helping me promote and push this podcast is what's going to continue to take us step by step. Because like I said, now we're even, they hit me up yesterday and said, yo, the Spotify thing, they got this new promotional thing that's happening in Spotify and your podcast is a candidate for it. So now you got to start telling people about the Spotify. And I was just like, all right, cool. I'll put it in the description. I'll remind people, because I don't touch the Spotify side. You know what I'm saying? Quarter Lab, if y'all are making money over there from the Sorry Shoot podcast, Spotify, and you're not paying me. I'm gonna bring you to court for that. Like, shout out to Quarter Lab, man. Them some homies. What else? Is that it? Let me scroll up through the chat real quick. Members, what's good? Misha B, appreciate you as always. You jumped in and you saw Inception last night, right? You caught up just that fast. It's got a little bit of a Matrix vibe to it, doesn't it? Right? Dope video, dope concept. Dream within a dream within a dream. So do you think that the spinner was gonna fall at the end or not? I'll leave that there. KX, what's good, homie? KX, why not? Members is in the building. MSM says, who's Cardi? Don't know then. What's her name? That just had the Kendrick feature that went crazy, right? Jay, what's up? In a real way, what you got going on, Jay? I love Jay's all Jay's new default pictures on Instagram and on YouTube. She always had beautiful pictures, but Jay just what you doing? Are you trying to are you single all of a sudden? Like, what's going on? Like, she's putting up some new pics for y'all, man. Shout out to Jay, man. We love you over here. We got DMV Doll in the building. Cardi is not for everyone, and that's okay. Yeah, I see that. You know what? I'll say this, man. I'm pretty sure he could release something that I'm gonna rock with. But like I said, I had to cut that album off. It just wasn't catching me. I was just like, if he drops something that's dope, I'm here for it. Who else am I missing? Yeah, the members and mods was definitely in the building. I appreciate y'all. And shout out to the whole chat. All right, and shout out to Checks and Balances. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news, more updates, more breakdowns. Don't forget to also leave me a comment. Is Lil Durk about to get his joint dismissed? I think that was interesting updates, but we'll be back. All right, y'all.
Don't confuse silence with work ethic. I'm a boss making decisions, my first fetish. The verse cherished is perfect, that's a reverse blemish. I dropped it, connected the block, learn Tetris.
This is the Sorry True Podcast. Welcome to the house of. And shout out to the members.
I think you still got a gun.